I have been brought up by both of my parents to question
Right.
and not just accept the rule because somebody tells me that it's the rule.
Yeah.
And so I've always been taught to go with gut feeling and my belief in humanity.
There's quite a bit to talk about. And like I said, thanks for your time. Want to start, obviously, the album came out recently. It's had a great reaction. I mean, you must be pleased with that. I mean, were you expecting it?
Well, no, you don't expect anything when you're releasing music, right? It's not
Yeah.
like you sit there and go, oh, well, these songs are definitely going to be
Yeah.
up there and people are going to love them. You just go, okay, well, I'm going to create music. And as long as we all love it, then hopefully other people will love it. So it's been really overwhelming, actually, in the best way possible to have such an incredible reaction across the board from so many people,
Yeah.
um, and such a broad variety of people and sources who have really enjoyed the album. So yeah, it's incredible, and I couldn't be happier with how it's gone.
Yeah. I mean, on that note, then, why do you think it's connected with so many people of, like you said, different backgrounds or areas?
Mm, I think we have a lot to offer. Personally, I think we have a lot to offer in terms of flexibility in genre. We
Yeah.
don't necessarily just sit in punk. I think my particular political views and my activism sits me in punk no matter what I do.
Yeah.
But musically, we're much broader than that. So we've got sort of pop sensibilities and we've got a little bit of ska and there's a bit of hip hop in there and there's some crunchy metal kind of vibes going on as well. So
Yeah.
I feel like there's something for most people to at least go, oh, okay, well, I might not like that bit, but I actually really like this song here or whatever. And I think
Mm.
that's really helped.
Do you think people? I mean, you've talked about your political views and your activism. Do you think people are put off by that at all? Has that caused any issues?
Mean, some people are going to be put off by that, but it doesn't put me off standing strong in my convictions of
Yeah.
what I believe in. I knew that some of the material would uh, alienate certain sections of our fan base, but if people aren't aligned with those views, my music probably isn't for them anyway.
Yeah.
And frankly, if you're not against some of the things that I'm against,
Yeah.
probably don't want you in my fan base anyway.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, in terms of your lyrics, you've talked about being inspired by what's making you angry, what's frustrating you. You've talked about your own mental health as well, and that side of it. If somebody that puts the album on, what do you hope they take away from reading your lyrics? Or
I want people, when it comes to the mental health and stuff like that, and certainly the song Me Too, I want people to realize that they're not alone.
yeah,
Um, I want people to understand that even if they feel very, very alone in their situation and what they're going through, um, there are scores of us who have been through the same thing, are going through the same thing, and actually there is a support network for people out there,
yeah,
no matter what you're going through. And I think really largely when it comes to that side of the album, I really want people to understand that.
yeah. I mean, when you're playing shows, I mean, you're obviously a band that are very close to your fan base. Do you talk to fans? I mean, if they kind of do you speak to them about that kind of face to
Yeah,
face?
absolutely. Yeah, people come and talk to us about their experiences or which songs have connected with them the most and helped them through certain situations. And that's such an incredibly beautiful thing. And again, not something I ever went out to seek
Yeah,
or expected. For me, my songwriting was always about working through my own issues
yeah.
and working through my own traumas. Um, so the fact that it has helped other people is just, I mean, it's just amazing.
Uh,
I couldn't be
uh,
more grateful.
I was going to ask about that. I mean, we've spoken to a lot of bands that write very personal lyrics, and when fans connect to it, it kind of takes it to a different level. I mean, what's that like for you? Especially some of the songs you've talked about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they take on a whole new meaning, don't they, when you've got other people that are connecting in one way or another.
Yeah,
And there are certain songs from the first album that I didn't particularly like personally. Um, but now I love playing them because of the way other people have connected to them.
yeah,
Like our fan base have actually helped me enjoy my music more,
yeah.
because of those things.
I mean, going back with the bands that or kind of singers that you connected to that did the same thing. Were there albums that you put on if you're kind of going like we talked about your mental health? Is there what were the albums that or bands that helped you?
Call Me Malcolm's first album was definitely one of them,
Right.
because their entire theme for their first two albums was about mental health. And so um, I went through a horrendous breakdown in sort of 2020, and that album was a big part of my life during that time. Um, Politically, I would say people like Skunk Anansie,
Yeah.
and Risky and the Ridicule, um, Rage Against the Machine.
Mm.
There's there's worlds of music that I've connected to one way or another, and it's usually like a particular time in my life where one album or another will be the thing that's on repeat that helps me to get through as I'm dealing with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, what kind of drew you to punk in the first place?
I think it was just one of those types of music that my dad would play that I just really enjoyed when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And punk in the sense that it would have been revolutionary music, so not necessarily punk as in oi or anything. It would have been like the Cypress Hill
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
Sunday in 1990, and
Yeah.
also things like Red Hot Chili Peppers and um, Prodigy, Jilted Generation, albums that were bending genres and bending my idea of what it was to be able to be a musician, are the ones that really made my formative understanding of breaking the rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what punk is, right?
Yeah.
It's breaking the rules and being anti-establishment. And so that was what my understanding of it was. I didn't really understand what punk was until I was at least 15 or 16,
Yeah.
when I was introduced to things like Green Day, and Less Than Jake, and people like that. But I was modifying my own clothing from the age of 12.
Right.
So it was more that I understood the rule breaking before I understood the music.
Right. I mean, what took you into kind of bands then and that side of it?
Mostly it was my friends at high school, because I grew up classically trained and jazz trained as a musician.
Yeah.
My dad was the one that was buying all of the contemporary music, while my mum was buying the classical music and the classic R&B music.
Right.
But going into sort of middle school and high school and having lads around me who all wanted to play acoustic guitar and, were showing me things like, Green Day and because A was from, Southwold, and I was going to school in that kind of area, and,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, so like local legend type bands. And then from the age of 16, we were going down the brewery in Alton Broad, and local bands like Crawl Blind and Vanilla Pod
Wow,
were
you're
playing.
talking some names now.
Mhm.
Wow.
And Raging Speedhorn,
Yeah.
people like that. So I was listening to these kind of bands when they were playing like Diddy Little Venues and Alton Broad. And I think I saw Raging Speedhorn with Crawl Blind in support at the Waterfront in Norwich, when I was probably about 17.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, little gigs, and coming into that scene. And again, I didn't really think anything of it. It's not like you think, oh, I'm going out to be punk or whatever. But I guess the amalgamation of the different types of music that I was brought up listening to slash learning, and then the cultural, social circles that I had,
Yeah.
all came together. And then I have been brought up by both of my parents to question
Right.
and not just accept the rule because somebody tells me that it's the rule.
Yeah.
And so I've always been taught to go with gut feeling and my belief in humanity
Right.
and the deep-seated understanding of what is right and wrong
Yeah.
for any human being to experience. And that in itself is considered radical these days, which is
Yeah.
just
Well.
insane to me. But that in itself is now considered punk. So here I am.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, then, how important is it to you to have that platform that a lot of people don't have, to where you can get your voice heard, whether it's on the radio or on a festival stage or in a club or in a bar or wherever, or doing an interview, and you've got that platform. How important is that to you as a person?
It's important to me to use it. It's not
Yeah.
important to me to have it.
Right.
Um, a platform, if you want to be a creative and you want to be successful in order to pay your bills, you have to have a platform.
Yeah.
Um, for me, it's the importance that I have the privilege of a platform. And I have the privilege of being a white girl in a punk scene where fewer people get offended by me speaking out.
Yeah.
And so I think that is my responsibility actually to call things out.
Yeah.
And I think more people should do that, who have the privilege of a platform, who have the ability to speak out for people who can't speak out for themselves.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I mean, on that note, then, what do you get out of performing? I mean, like we said, you talked about writing some really personal songs, and we've talked about you talking to the fans about those songs and the connection. What do you get about out of performing those songs on stage?
Um, well, it's a lot of fun. I get to run around and kick my legs about and punch the air and scream my lungs till they're burning like fire. And I get to rage and cry and let out all of the things that I wouldn't be able to do on a high street on a stage and do it with people.
Yeah,
Is that a kitty in the background?
it
Is
is.
that a
Yeah,
kitty?
this
What's
cat.
the
And
name of the
it was. Are
kitty?
you going to come over?
Hi, sweetheart.
Oh no, there's a story behind that cat. We've got three.
It's
Um,
beautiful.
um, he we rescued five from a house, and they couldn't find that one. And so there's a whole backstory to this, which I won't go into because we'll be here all night. He, the mother turned up one day dragging him along as a kid, and he was only 6 weeks old, and he was absolutely so somebody thrown a bucket of water over him. So we went back and we got him. And so there was never any plans to have three cats, but we've ended up. So there's three brothers from the same litter, and he's terrified of everything.
My cat's terrified of everything. She's sitting on my windowsill right now, Matty.
The other two are out
Terrified of
terrorizing
other
him.
cats, terrified of other people,
Yeah.
terrified of a piece of plastic on the floor.
Oh, you got yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
all of that.
you're gonna come. You're not gonna come over, are you? So that
But
was
yeah,
the
anyway, so raging on stage is part of my enjoyment. Being able to, again, speak about the things that I believe in, or the things that have been major factors in affecting me one way or another, deeply emotive things that I can then talk about. But it also gives me this massive opportunity to connect with other people who believe in the same things
yeah,
or want to see change for the better in the world, or also need to scream or cry or rage in one way or another.
yeah.
There's suddenly a room full of people that I get to do that with, and there's nothing like that kind of connection in the world, I don't think.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've connected with bands, and you've got that connection. But I mean, as a singer, I mean, have you had people tell you that you've inspired them to do that?
Yeah, I think one of the most touching ones was a band that is unfortunately doing their last shows this year. They've only been around for 2 or 3 years, and they're called Smoking Gives You Big Tits.
Okay.
Um, and Helen told me that I was the inspiration for her starting up her band. Um, and there've been a few people that have said that to me because, I'm not the average 18, 19-year-old running around on stage now, and I'm not afraid to be an older woman on a stage.
Yeah.
Um, and I fully believe that ageism shouldn't be a thing,
No.
and that, you know, music should be accredited to the songs and not the people.
Yeah.
Um, so that's always really, really heartwarming when people are like, yeah, you've inspired me to go and do this thing. I can be a strong woman and not have to get my clothes off on stage, and I can be a punk person, and it doesn't matter what I look like or what I do or how I sing it. I'm allowed to go and do that. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to happen. I want people to feel like they have space and they should have space and they should take it up.
I mean, on that note, I mean, I know you've probably been questioned about the whole females in the music industry side of it, probably many millions of times. I just wondered what you thought. I mean, obviously, the big news recently was Linkin Park coming back with a female vocalist. I
Mhm.
mean, do you think that's how important of a statement do you think that is, given that they're probably one of the biggest rock bands on the planet, and Emily's replaced probably one of the most iconic singers of the last 20 years. I mean, talking about inspiration. how important a statement do you think that is, having a female vocalist now for a band like that and for the wider picture?
I think
Regardless of what the backlash that's gone on since then.
yeah, yeah. I've only
Yeah,
seen some of the backlash today, but I assumed it would happen
yeah,
because it always happens. And it wouldn't matter if it was her or another guy.
yeah,
There's going to be backlash because people online like being trolls. They have way too much time on their hand, and there's
yeah.
always somebody that wants to hate about something. So unfortunately, this girl from what was her band name?
Dead Sarah or Dead
Ed
Sarah.
Sarah, which was a great band, and she has got an incredible voice.
Yeah,
And I've had lots of people say to me, "Oh, I wasn't sure about her voice, singing the old songs, but then I heard the new songs, and I think she's absolutely fit the part and hits the nail on the head." The thing is, Chester's dead,
yeah,
and it was a really tragic, horrendous thing.
yeah,
I don't think if there is an afterlife and Chester's up there somewhere looking down at this girl, I don't think he's going to be sitting there going, "Oh, well, they've made a horrible mistake."
yeah,
I would hope that he's turning around and going, "This is what I wanted. I wanted my boys to carry on.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted my legacy of music to carry on. And this person has an incredible voice. And hopefully she's a good person, which is why they've chosen them as well, because it's not just about having somebody that's a great vocalist, it's about having somebody that fits within the team, that is a good
yeah,
person to work with, that's going to bring joy to more people."
yeah,
Um, I, Personally, I don't give a holy stuff what person somebody chooses to have front their band as a legacy move.
yeah,
I hope that she's well. I hope that the band do well. Um, and I have nothing but a hope for good things to happen for them.
yeah,
Um, the fact that it's a woman is great, but I don't think they would have necessarily chosen her because she's a woman.
yeah,
I think if somebody had come along that was better for the band, that was a guy, that's what would have happened. But that's what should be happening. There shouldn't be this female fronted punk band
yeah.
bullshit. You know, if you're good and you're a musician, then that's great. End of.
Perfect. I totally agree with you. What I wanted to ask you as well, there's been a lot of other kind of issues surrounding probably alternative music recently. I mean, specifically Download and Barclaycard and that
Oh
whole
yeah. Mhm. Yeah,
incident.
yeah. Bands boycott Barclays, yeah.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask was that as a band at kind of your level that's obviously got very strong beliefs, you obviously the other side of the coin is you want to take your band further and you want to be as successful as possible. How difficult is it to maintain your principles and your beliefs and not have to kind of cross the line of saying, well, if we want to play bigger shows, we've got to jump in with, say, Live Nation, or we've got to do X, Y, and Z, or go with work on social media, even though morally that's probably not the best platform. How difficult is it to maintain the two if you want to progress your band?
It is difficult. You have to constantly make decisions. Spotify, some of their money goes towards war machines.
Yeah,
But at the moment, I am unable to remove myself from Spotify if I want my song like Can I Get Off to reach more people.
yeah,
So I've got an anti-genocide song on a platform that's giving money to genocide. In
yeah,
the same way that I've got an anti-genocide song on Apple and their products are funding a genocide in Congo.
yeah,
What can I do about that? How can I change it in order to still make sure that my messages are getting as far out as possible?
yeah,
Can I Get Off an Angry Side as a double A side, raise £3,600 for a Palestine charity? I wouldn't have been able to do that without those platforms to reach more people.
yeah. It's that double-edged
But
sword, isn't it?
if I had been invited to play Download, I would have been one of the artists to drop out.
Right. Would you have not used that platform to, like you said, like we talked about earlier
That's
about,
shouting into the void. That does, quite frankly, it does fuck all.
yeah,
In
yeah,
the same way that the people that said that they would do that at the Great Escape, not a single one of those people actually said anything on those stages.
yeah,
Just fuck all.
yeah,
What happened was that Barclays pulled out of those festivals because of that backlash happening.
absolutely, yeah,
And it was costing millions
yeah,
for Live Nation to see all of that going down the drain.
yeah,
That's the action we need to take. And it
yeah,
has to be proper action. It has to be actually taking a stand where we can and drawing that line. And if I can take myself off those platforms at any point, I will.
Even if it affected the band? Would I mean, obviously,
Talking
principles
about
come
Palestine
first.
affected the band. I
Yeah,
lost thousands of followers.
yeah,
Did I stop talking about it? Absolutely not.
yeah,
I think people need to actually have some real fucking integrity and stop being dickhead cowards.
yeah.
That's that's it for me. Like, I don't care. I've lost friends. I've stopped going to watch certain bands. I call bands out every single night on our stages, and I will continue to do so. I will stand here on my own, like the guy that stands outside like the Israeli embassy in Japan on his own every single day and protests against Palestine. If I'm the last person in the music industry doing it, I'll fucking do it.
That
Because
takes you back to what you said earlier, though, doesn't it, about standing for your beliefs?
yeah, because who are you if you truly cannot at least stand in your convictions with strengths? What have you actually got left?
Yeah, nothing.
Where is your soul?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, going back to the album. I mean, I think you mentioned somewhere that it was the first.
Sorry, I've got a visitor myself. She's being very fussy. There you go. There's Matty.
Well, I can. Give me 2 seconds. I can. Come on, come and say hello. Just come
Are
and
you
say.
ready? Look, Matty.
See, you're not gonna
Oh
eat.
no, she's like, nope, nope, I'm done.
Have we got
Hi,
all of it?
buddy.
Come on, say hello.
Hi, sweet boy. Oh my God, he's beautiful. Hello, darling.
He's not having any of this. His claws are dug so tight into me. Go on.
Oh, poor
Come on.
baby.
Off you go. The other two would be absolute carnage by now. As I've known, I was on a call the other day and one of them just brought a bird in.
Oh my God.
Woman on the call looked absolutely horrified. And
I mean, my cat can't hunt for shit. She's got no teeth and her claws are clipped.
oh no, we've got two, and he's just as bad. We've come in and it's been like Silence of the Lambs some nights. So, but yeah, he's terrified. So he's yeah. Which leads me into a bit of a more light-hearted subject. We have a kind of less serious question. We've asked all sorts.
Mhm.
What I wanted to ask you was if you could silence one person on the planet so nobody could hear them, could be anybody, could be one of your bandmates, could be anything. Like I said, could be light-hearted. Who would you pick and why?
Joanne Rowling.
Okay, do you want to explain why?
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah,
Put tape
um,
over her mouth, put her in a cupboard. As long as she can breathe, I don't know, whatever. Stop her from speaking.
okay, that's a good
She's
choice.
the worst kind of turf. She's horrendous. And anybody else that is similar to her could
Right.
be in a very nice, neat little line behind Elon Musk, Louise Distress, all of them in a lovely little line. Duct tape their mouths. Maybe take it off for feeding times, but nobody needs to hear your bullshit.
You didn't need to think about that, did you?
Not even a little bit.
Perfect. Well, on that note, then, I mean, it's like I said, I've really enjoyed the album. I'm looking forward. There's a tour coming up in October. What are your hopes for the rest of this year and into next year?
Well, obviously we've got the tour, so that's going to take up a big amount of my brain space and or active time. And that's going to be amazing. I can't wait to it's we haven't had a tour with this many new songs in it for good couple of years at
I'm,
this
s-
point.
I'm surprised by that
So
because every time I get an email from somebody, it's you are on tour again. So I'm
yeah,
surprised you've
yeah,
not.
yeah. Well, I mean, it took 3.5 years to put out the new album.
Right.
So Truths came out in October 2020.
Yeah.
We had our first single after that in 2022,
Yeah.
which was Rebound.
Yeah.
Um, and then, after that, it was Shut Your Mouth in 2023. So, and then Angry Side Can I Get Off this year. So, those are the only really new songs that have been in the set for
Mm.
3.5 years. So it's going to be a real fun time to go out on tour and have all of these extra songs in the set. And hopefully it's been enough time past that people will be singing along to them. Um, and then past that, we're already starting to write again. So
Okay.
the writing begins again.
Perfect. I mean, is the new material already done, or is there anything already in the
There
pipeline?
are new ideas being floated around and considered for
Mhm.
the third album.
Perfect. Brilliant. Well, I look forward to that. I mean, what are your hopes for 2025 then? Just to wrap up.
2025, I'm hoping for more festivals than this year. Um, I'm hoping for more touring because that's just where I'm at. I've got some ideas for raising money for different charities that I really want to have succeed. Um, there are certain bands that I would really love to work with, be they supporting us or us supporting them, that I'm hopeful for the opportunity to have. I'm excited about Dingwalls and being in London, and I'm excited to have the time again to go away with my band for a couple of weeks and start writing this third album.
Perfect. That's a great way to finish. I mean, just to wrap up then, have you got anything for fans that are coming out to the shows and the fans that have supported you from day one and bought the new record and are coming to see you on tour? Have you got any message for them?
I mean, first and foremost, thank you for continuing to support us. Thank you for still being here after years of us being on the road and writing music. Thank you for your patience for that second album. It took a bloody long time for me to get around to getting it done. Um, and I hope you're going to enjoy what we've got in store for this next tour because I'm excited for it.